Hey, this is Dash, and I'm back out in the garage. It's rather early in the morning. I'm actually cooking right now, doing the barbecue thing. If you haven't already, check out my Instagram. I'll post something up there about the Instagram. But, of course, as the title states, this is more about the engine teardown. And where it stands is, this is where we are. I need to get the rod caps off, I guess, and then the bearing caps off, and I want to take the crank out and the pistons out. So I'm gonna put you up on a tripod for a little while, and I'm gonna get to work. Hopefully I can get this whole thing apart. Alright, so as you just saw, I was able to get the connecting rods, the other three connecting rods, well, all four actually, the three that were still intact and the one that was broken, out of the block. So the crank is left, and I originally there was someone that commented on the video saying that maybe the piston was locked, and that's what caused the connecting rod to separate. But honestly, it really just looks like there was separation in the connecting rod, because the crank was still moving just fine and the piston came out of the cylinder just fine. So I don't really believe that there was any sort of hydro lock. Like someone said, maybe there was a hydro lock because it overfueled. I don't know. It really just looks like the connecting rod came out of the piston. So, but I'm gonna try and get the crank out and see what I can do with that. All right, back to it. All right, so at this point, I was able to get those out, and I have it to the point where I have everything locked up. Hopefully, I can get this crank bolt. And I cheated. I broke it already. But now, how the hell do I get this gear off? That's another challenge. Alright, I'll be back. So I'm still out here in the garage, and I have the engine where the block turned sideways. I'm gonna get the oil filter element and stuff out. And this is the thermostat. I believe the thermostat's right down in there. So I'm gonna get those things out, and I actually have to get the engine back onto the engine hoist because I have to get to the back of the engine to take off the, I guess, the rear main seal stuff, so I can pull the crank back and out. Hopefully the last thing you saw was me actually getting the crank, the nut off of the crank, and then there was a pulley here, or a gear. I got that out of there. I'm gonna set you back up on a tripod. Hopefully I'll have this finished up today, or within the next few minutes. So this will be all done. My end goal is to get the crank out of the block, and then this will be finished. All right, I'm gonna get you back up on the tripod. Stay tuned. Okay, so I have the thermostat out and the oil filter off of the block, and it is just a bare block at this point. But it still has a crank in it. So I need to work on, I'm gonna flip this whole thing over again so more stuff falls out. And wow, so I never looked down into the cylinders because the engine was always upside down. And what I'm seeing in the cylinder where the piston was, where it blew up, the connecting rod hit all down into that cylinder, so that cylinder's like completely gone, or at least pieces of it are. When I get the crank out, hopefully I'll be able to shine some light down in here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is Dash, and I hope, one, you can see me, and two, if you've made it this far, the final piece of me taking apart this 2-liter TDI engine is to get the crank out of the block. At this point, I got the bearing caps off, the bearing end caps, I guess, front and back, and I thought that I was going to be able to slide the whole thing out, like, through the back. But what ended up happening was I wasn't able to see that there was an additional piece that was bolted onto the front. I've actually taken those bolts off, and I'm going to pop this off, and hopefully, I'll be able to get the crank out. the same. Dude. Victory! Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. This thing is way heavy. The crank is way heavier than I thought it was going to be. I mean, not that I really knew what to expect, but gosh. Dude, this is awesome. So, I know I've made mention of this before, but I've never actually taken the motor apart. Never actually taken the motor apart, so this is all brand new to me. And I feel pretty damn accomplished right now. I'm just looking still at a lot of these parts and pieces, and what's crazy, you can see this was the piece of the connecting rod where the number 3 cylinder connecting rod destroyed itself, and there's bits of the crank that are all chewed up here. They're chewed up there, and then also, I guess that might just be normal. I thought it was more scoring and everything, but as I look at the other, I don't know if they're journals or what, but the other in here, they all look the same. But wow, pretty damn proud of myself that I was able to get this done. Anybody need a 2-liter TDI crank? I guess it's part number 38AA, maybe. But anyway, I guess at this point you see the bare block, you see the crank. Here are the pistons and the connecting rods. So I don't know how to take this out of here, and I don't know if I want to or not either. But this, so you have your O-rings here. And it's kind of crazy. I'm looking at this thing because I don't know how it comes out. I don't know, because it looks like there's just one solid piece that goes in. So maybe there's some sort of, I don't know. But on the rod that was broken, on the connecting rod that was broken, like I can see this gold ring, those gold pieces were all chewed up and they were sitting in the top of the cylinder. But this is a good piston. Sorry, I'm kind of in awe because I've never seen this before, like firsthand. And then this is what's left of the piston that was destroyed. As more parts are still falling out of it. So I guess it seemed like the whole rod ripped off of the piston. That's kind of how it looks. It didn't. The reason I'm saying that is because When I took the engine apart and I got to the point where I was able to take out the pistons, this piston came out just fine. It wasn't like it was stuck in the cylinder bore itself. So that kind of leads me to believe that the piston just, again, the connecting rod disconnected itself. I don't quite know how or why, but it just broke. But this whole thing has been very cool to me. I guess last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you kind of around my big old table of mess and the parts that are here on the floor and the parts that are over, you know, scattered all around my garage. And then I'm going to wrap this up. So give me a second to get cleaned up a bit and I'll show you the mess. Alright, so I guess here we go. A quick and dirty tour of the top of the table here. Alright, now this is the diesel injection pump and the mounting bracket. Obviously you see there's plenty of tools strewn about. That piece from part 4, when I didn't know what it was, I later found out, and I think I even commented or posted in the message, or excuse me, in the video, that I found out that this is a balancer. And hold on a second, let me try and... Alright, so from the other day I found out that this is a balancer. And what happens is, because the diesel is the way that it is, it's a lot of vibrations in the diesel, and this sits under the engine. This was driven by the... there was a gear on the crank which drove this way, and then it came back around this way and came in this way to drive the oil pump. But this whole assembly does actually still move. It does work still with the balancers there, I guess. But this is just a whole big rotating assembly, and it's heavy as hell, and it's driven by the crank, so it's robbing horsepower because it, you know, the way that it's spinning. All right, here's this part is the thermostat housing. There's the oil filter there. Now, I told my friends, or actually I had an epiphany while I was doing this, where I don't know how and or why, but after looking at this for a few days, it didn't hit me until I was looking for a video trying to research what this was, that this is a double 1-2 overhead cam. I know that might be funny to some of you guys, but I really I've heard about double overhead cams, and I know the difference between a single overhead cam and a double overhead cam, but I was looking at this and didn't even realize what I was looking at. So just thought I would share that with you. This is the oil pickup tube, and I found out later that I said that it was like a drain tube, but this is the tube that the dipstick goes into, so that when you are trying to get your fuel level, while the oil is sloshing around down in the bottom of the pan, this doesn't move, and it actually gives you a true reading of the height of the oil. Ingenious. This is the gear that was on the front of the crank. Here's more parts of that balance. And I guess last but not least, there's the valve cover and the head gasket. Plus, I still haven't actually gotten a chance to go through the box of parts over there. But all in all, I get to spend the next... Oh, I forgot. These are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the cam... Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, that's all of them. These are the crankshaft caps. All right, and obviously number 1 and number 5 were the end caps. So it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it was which is the front and which is the back now? This is the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so I really can't thank you enough if you've gotten this far in the video. Comment down below. I don't know. Boom goes the TDI. But really, I really do appreciate you watching this far along in the video. And if you've gotten this far in the series, I really do appreciate you watching that as well, or this as well. I guess lastly, there's some things that I learned about taking the engine apart. One of the things that became evident as I was doing this whole thing, when I put the engine on the stand and I held the engine up with the crane, with the hoist rather, I should have actually taken the black part of the engine stand off and attached that directly to the engine before putting it on the engine stand. So for anyone who is seeing this and doing this, or you know, future, that's a lesson I learned. And the second lesson I learned in regards to the engine hoist is to not connect the piece of the engine stand, that same black part, to the oil pan. I ended up having to move the the arms. I had to move the arms in order to get the engine still held up and free up the oil pan so that I could get the oil pan off. I'm sure there were some other things that I learned, but of course are escaping me at the moment. But not only do I want to thank you, I want to thank my son Sebastian for helping me get the engine hoist and the engine stand put together, as well as getting the engine up on the stand. So really, I just want to say thanks. I know this is not barbecue related, and I am a car guy down, deep down. So in case you didn't know that or don't know that, you'll probably start seeing some more car related or mechanical repair related videos in the future. Long, rambly, I apologize. I'm just gonna say bye.